A huge thank you to Robert Bishop for sponsoring today's video on Patreon. Zurgo Stormrender versus Kervek, partners Arden and Thrasios, and Valgavoth. One lander, as ever, on Magic Online is no good. Takes us into a 2-lander with no colours. If we got into a black land for turn 3 black market, then that wouldn't be the worst, but no guarantee of that, so just try and actually get into some lands here, and we do. So with 3 lands, yeah, I think we should be fine there. Let's get rid of Sacred Foundry. Then draw up to 7 on turn 1, gets us into Bitter Triumph. Make this a Surveil land, and shows us Field of the Dead on top we will keep. So we draw into field. I think I just want to get the Voice of Victory into play, and then our commander, and try to make use of Mobilize. Jet Medallion will make the black spells cost less for the Rakdos player. Thrasios Triton Hero on turn 2. And a Vamp Tutor on turn 1 for Kervek. After which he plays Urborg and a Thought Vessel. So that means our Field of the Dead's going to tap for mana at least. Okay, and Adeline. Do we play Adeline instead of Zurgo? No, we can't. We don't have double white, so shocking the Blood Crypt. And we'll get Summoning Sickness away from our commander. No one can do anything on our turn, so swing in to the left and we'll just deal 2 damage with the tokens to the right. Now if you saw the last video, you'll know that it's incredibly upsetting that this is an aristocrat build, but when the tokens go down at the end of combat, Zurgo sees that they are not in combat and has each opponent lose 1 life. Apparently we shouldn't be building this as an aristocrat commander for some reason. Swiftfoot Boots for Valgavoth. And did not manage to make a land, so not only did he not get his commander down on turn 3, but he's going to find it difficult to equip those boots as well. Arden into play, and no equipment at the moment, so obviously we wanted to try really hard. We could go Generous Gift onto this thing and really hurt their mana even further, but we're not going to bother making plays like that. A Solemn Simulacrum will help fix the colours of the Rakdos player. Should go for a basic mountain because all his lands are swamps anyway. And a Felwar Stone for us. We'll tap for white mana for double white, but that's only next turn with Adeline. So play a land in Field of the Dead. Play the Felwar Stone as well, and we'll get out the Cruel Celebrant, I think. Just playing into a board wipe at this point, but nothing much else we can do really. Cards aren't that much use in our hand. So I'll turn everything in sideways towards the left. Seeing as how we're going easy, letting him keep that land. Mobilize 1, mobilize 2, puts 2 warriors into play, and then 1 warrior into play. I'll go down the middle with a couple of them, just in case they want to block and give us some card draw. He does decide to block, that's good. So he's not thinking about what our commander does. Or maybe he is and he'd rather we just take the card draw than the drain. So we drain anyway with the Cruel Celebrant. That's when a creature dies. Draw into Grand Crescendo and Gold Knight Commander. If we can keep the board as it is now, that's going to be really good. But I imagine we'll be seeing a board wipe sooner than later. So the creatures get sacrificed at the end of the turn regardless with Mobilize. We've already got our opponents down to 3/4 of their life total. Managed to get that 3rd land he needed, so Valgavoth into play, but does not have hexproof. So might have to go Bitter Triumph onto there. There's an Enlightened Tutor, and saw him lose life. He could have done that before this entered, but decided to allow the plus counter to hit Valgavoth because he lost life to the Mana Confluence for the Enlightened Tutor, which put a Dousing Dagger on top of the library. So he's likely going to make a decent amount of mana off that next turn because we're not blocking. Dousing Dagger enters, puts the plant tokens into play under the Kervek's control, and then Arden is going to equip it for free. Decides to put it onto the Thrasios. So that is now a 3/4 and comes in at us, yep. So this will flip round and be able to tap for 3 mana this turn. And just making use of that mana this turn to activate the Thrasios. So scry 1, put a land into play, or just draw. You managed to get into a land, that is Deserted Beach. See if Solemn wants to swing in for a card draw here. This might mean that there's a board wiping coming. We're making an enemy of ourselves going so fast. Ideally we'd be able to get into another white mana next turn so that we can go for the Gold Knight Commander and still hold up Grand Crescendo just in case there's a board wipe. And there we go, Blasphemous Act, so that's what happens. Triggers the Cruel Celebrant 3 times, so we'll gain some life at least. And with 4 cards in hand, just decides to pass with all that mana held up. So there's the Lysae. Let's go for our Commander again, I think. Because then we can drop Adeline, hopefully. And we don't have to swing in with Adeline to get the tokens, whereas we do with Zurgo. Mogis is going to be shocking us every turn. Cataract Parasite cares about having a red permanent in play. Whenever the player draws, deal 1 damage to him. Thrasios back into play again. Luckily he did get to ramp with the Lost Veil previously. And so Arden back into play again. Still no equipment. Curvet just consistently holding up mana and passing the turn over. We lose 2 to the God of Slaughter and then 1 to the Parasite. Still not drawn into lands, annoyingly. Might have to play this in order to try and draw into one. So do we go Adeline after all? I think we do. Priority being held up by the Rakdos player. So I'll swing in to the left. And Adeline gonna trigger. We've still got 3 opponents by some miracle. So made it all the way up to turn 6 with no one scooping. Zurgo Stormrender will send all the tokens in at whichever opponents in the hope that they'll actually make some blocks here. Again, deciding to make blocks. Goes after the warrior, which is going to die anyway. And then he can only block 1 human, so we lose both of those. Cataract Parasite stays in play, but we'll draw some cards here at least. Alright, and there's the Scrubland, so we would have drawn that off the Idol of Oblivion. Unfortunately, we've tapped our white mana now, and we are drawing, so the Parasite is going to keep pinging us. Let's see, I think I'll go for holding up some interaction, and then maybe get down some mana fixing with the Bloodstained Mire. Get down a tap land with that if needs be. So we'll go for that and see if we need to make use of Generous Gift or anything. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, they lose a life and you put a minus counter on something. And he's not equipping the Swiftfoot Boots onto anything, which is curious. This thing's a 5/3, which will make attacks difficult, so might have to blow that up. Minus counter goes on to the Arden from the Snake. Tezzeret the Seeker. I think this can, yeah, creatures or planeswalkers this can blow up. Decided to minus X to go and grab an artifact. Decided to grab Swiftfoot Boots for the Arden. Another walker. Tamio, Field Researcher. So likely gonna tick up on that and point the targets at our creatures. Oh no, decided to freeze them instead. Well, that's not good. Luckily, like I said, Adeline doesn't need to be swinging in to get the triggers, so hopefully we'll still be able to make use of this, take out some of those walkers. Whenever a creature dies, have the enchantment deal damage to a player equal to the number of cards in their hand. That's pretty scary. So, yeah, we'll wait until that enters. The problem is we're going to have creatures dying in combat now. Although maybe not. Don't have that many great blockers. We'll go Bitter Triumph with an additional cost of 3. Paying 3 life. I want to get rid of the snake so that it can't interfere with our creatures even further than they're already being interfered with. And that triggers the Vicious Shadows. It comes back in with Persist, but we had to debuff it, and they'll have 4 damage dealt to them by the Shadows. Oh, it's target player. Should have read this properly. Whenever a creature dies, a target player, I thought it was the same player as the creature that died. Alright, so maybe should have just left this alone then, although with 2 toughness it'll go down much easier. So we're down to 24. Our opponents are still bitter with us about what we did in the early game. More white mana with a shadowy Backstreet, I think. Backstreet's back. And there is Charismatic Conqueror. I'll just keep it on top, whatever. So that means we're not holding up the Grand Crescendo, are we? We're going to have to go Generous Gift onto this thing, I think. And we'll have to take 2 damage to Mogis as well. Or actually, this thing is... yeah, I should have looked at this first. I've passed priority now. What I should be doing here is putting Generous Gift on the stack, because now I'm going to sacrifice this human token because this is going to kill it off anyway. Or actually, we just take more damage. Doing it that way, we might as well just take the 2 damage from Mogis now, but I've done it wrong. So take the 2 damage, blow this thing up, and then the human token was dying regardless. We had a creature die, so everyone is going to get pinged for 1 by our commander. And we get pinged by the Parasite. We know what we're drawing into in the Conqueror. These are lifelink tokens, so it's a shame that we need to get down the Gold Knight Commander, I think, really. I don't think we can rely on the lifelink counters from the Conqueror at this point. And luckily we've still got one human token that we can swing in with. So we'll go straight at Tamiyo, and that will trigger the Adeline. And I'll go in at Tamiyo again, try and encourage them to make some blocks here. And then the other two have to go in at our opponents, trigger the Gold Knight Commander 3 times because 3 tokens entered, so +3/+3 on our attackers. And we're just one land away from starting to trigger Field of the Dead now, but it's going to be a bit of a faster game than we would like, I think. No blocks being made by the BAMP player, so looks as though Tamiyo's going down, the Elephant token is going down as well. So that might suggest that he's got a board wipe in hand again, if he wants to save his life total. Take out the Tamiyo, we don't manage to take out Teferi. Maybe if we'd attacked both Planeswalkers, they both would have gone down there, I'm not sure. It seems as though they're eager to keep their commanders in play. Alright, looks as though Kedirect is going in to the left and the Constrictor is going at Tezzeret. So yeah, he's eager to keep Tezzeret, he's willing to give up on Thrasios for that, which makes me feel a bit better about not dedicating one creature to each walker. After dealing some damage, Rakdos is allowed to come into play, so creature spells cost 1 less for each damage dealt. This has hexproof now as well. It's a 6/6 flying trample. Tezzeret minusing down for 2 was eager to get an equipment of some kind. Key to the Vault will equip for free, and that's a means of card advantage, doubling season. So hopefully we don't see another Planeswalker come down and just ultimate straight away. Well, thought we might. You get an emblem if a source would deal damage to you, or a Planeswalker you control prevent all but 1, so we can only ever deal 1 damage per source. Hopefully players stop looking at us like the Mogis player began to. So yeah, goes for the emblem straight away. This is left with 1 loyalty, so we can still take it out at least. Throws the Key to the Vault onto the Arden, which is still a 1/1 thanks to the minus counter, and swings it into the right. Look at that many cards on top, it's only 1. And manages to get himself into a 6-drop. Copy it for each time you've cast your commander this game, so gets a lot of copies. That's a pretty lucky top deck he just got. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent. You may put it onto the battlefield. Wow, so he's going to get some stuff done here. Witch Enchanter gets rid of the Swiftfoot Boots. Gets another Walker, Tamiyo, which is another emblem, no max hand size. And when a card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put it into your hand instead. An emblem, whenever you draw a card, exile a permanent an opponent controls, and they get an Oath of Teferi, so when that enters, exile another permanent you control and return it, so they're going to flicker the Witch Enchanter, and this player decides to scoop in response to that. Hello all, a quick interjection here. A few of you have asked for cat updates over the few months that I haven't been updating you all on that front, and there are a few updates to go over, so I would like to introduce you, I don't think I have yet, like to introduce you to Billy. Billy isn't our cat, he's actually the neighbour's cat, but he has befriended our cats, so these two similar looking black and white cats tend to knock around with each other. Our cat Lucifer is bigger, and you can tell Billy because not only is he smaller, but he's got the black splodge under his nose. We were actually calling him Adolf for a short while before we learnt what his name was from the neighbour. So Billy often frequents our house. He likes to play with Lucifer's toys and, well, wind up our cat a little bit sometimes. He's a bit boisterous and a bit of a shit stirrer, frankly, sometimes, but he's good-hearted, and I think he likes to come here as well because it's peaceful. The neighbours can be a little bit noisy sometimes. It can be a bit of a raucous environment for a cat. So when he wants to use our house as a retreat to get away and relax and fall asleep and whatever, then, well, he has no qualms in doing that. But for the most part, our cats get along, and if Billy ever misbehaves, we just kick him out and allow Lucifer to have some peace in his own home. So we don't let him interfere with our cat at all if he's feeling boisterous. But there we are, that's today's cat update. Wanted to introduce you to Billy because I don't think I have yet. Lucy's doing fine, he's patrolling the local area on a regular basis. It's getting towards summer now, so we actually can't keep him in the house. Anyway, I think I'll have another update for you tomorrow, so look forward to that. He's also got himself into a Dovin, Architect of Law. So through to the main phase, we'll see a bunch of emblems show up. So Tamio is going to minus down, not get the emblem. Instead draw cards equal to the tap creatures we control. So goes up to 8 in hand here. That triggers Cataract Parasite at least, and the full amount of damage will still be dealt because it's 1 ping each. So goes down to 9. Permanent on top of the library, or third from the top. Throws the Cataract Parasite away. That's deceptively done a lot of damage over the course of the game. Hopefully he'll forget about the fact that this can deal damage as well. Non-land permanent as well with the Teferi. Oh, he can do things twice, can't he, thanks to this. So there goes Adeline. We'll be able to make a token with Zurgo at least, but losing Adeline doesn't feel good. Tap a target creature, doesn't untap during the next untap step, so freezing the Rakdos with Dovin. And then gain 2 and draw a card with the Dovin as well. A Sol Ring. And then freezing a permanent again. That is the Mogis. Ajani Steadfast until the end of the turn. Up to 1 target creature gets +1/+1 lifelink, first strike and vigilance. That's on a tapped creature, so it doesn't really matter. And then the Witch Enchanter will come back into play to blow something up. And goes after the Medallion. So the game's probably over. But we'll see what we draw into here. The Persistent Constrictor. This is up to, I think. Yeah, we lose a life, but they don't have to put a minus counter on something. Looks as though they are doing anyway, though. And it's weird that you want to... You should be helping us, really, to get through to the Super Friends player. I mean, it won't die, but maybe that's what they're thinking. Anyway, Mogis. We either swing in with these and just deal 1 damage, or Zurgo pings when it dies anyway, so I might just sacrifice a token here. And that triggers Zurgo to ping each opponent. And there we see a Verdant Catacombs, so play that as a land for the turn. And that is Field of the Dead. So maybe it's worth, if we can make a decent number of tokens this turn, +1/+1 to everything when the zombie enters. Maybe it's worth getting down Felice, and maybe even Charismatic Conqueror as well. Yeah, we'll go through to combat here and just swing in with everything. Not too worried about the swing back, I just want to deal as much damage to the Planeswalker player as possible. So Mobilize will bring in another creature. I'm not even going to look at the Planeswalkers, they're all above 1 loyalty anyway, so we can't get rid of them. Unless we were to gang up on individual ones, of course, which is just a distraction at this point. So the Witch is going to jump in the way of the 2/2 Warrior, which means they trade. We'll draw a card here as well. And we deal 4/5 damage. So knock him down to 5, only 1 point of commander damage. Draw a card to Zurgo. Black Market Connections. We've made 2 tokens so far. We'll make another one with the Verdant Catacombs, I think. And just make it a Raucous Theatre, I think. Hopefully the additional token that I could have got by putting 1 into X on the Grand Crescendo won't matter. Anguished Unmaking, probably worth keeping on top, although I'll keep it on top. We don't know what's going to happen during the next turn cycle, so Felice into play after that, and then we can pass the turn and just hold up a means of trying to protect our board with the Crescendo. So Felice will make some spirits at the end of the turn. Unfortunately, in all of this, we haven't managed to get into a sack outlet, otherwise we'd easily be able to deal with this player. That's the problem I've found with this deck, is that you need quite a few small pieces to go right. You need your token generators, your aristocrat effects, and your sack outlets. And then it's a more combat focused deck as well, so you also need to be getting through to combat. There's quite a few hoops to jump through, which makes it more difficult. Now actually a board wipe might not be the worst thing, because it could take this guy out. He's going to get 1 damage through with that, and then we assume 2 with this, and another 1 with that. So that takes him down to 1. And there we go, Blasphemous Act. So do we allow that to take the Super Friends player out? I think we have to, unfortunately. So just let that happen. And Zurgo is going to ping the Super Friends player out, put him back in the command zone again. So down he goes to 0. Managed to deal with him, thankfully, after that incredible turn that he had. Great stroke of luck off the top, glad to catch that on video. Lightning Greaves. We've got this player down to 7 as well with that board wipe. Now it might be a time to get this into play, because if he wants to get haste on his stuff, he's not going to want to tap it most likely. We lose 2 to Mogis again. draw into that Anguished Unmaking. I think we do want to get this down. And maybe black market as well. And then maybe we can go for a token into Grand Crescendo if we need it, or just hold up the Anguished Unmaking. When we start making tokens next turn, Idol of Oblivion is going to be able to draw us a card. Valgavoth into play again. We're going to have to lose 2 life and go for Anguished Unmaking onto that, I think. He might try and outrace us and not tap this down. We'll see if we get a token. He's got to worry about some kind of swing back as well, don't forget, so he probably doesn't want to tap this. Yeah, it gives us a token instead. So I think we have to go Anguished Unmaking and take the 2 life. Or actually 5 life, because we'll lose 3 to the Unmaking as well. So we go down to 10. We've got Mogis to worry about as well. We've got a little bit of life gain, but hopefully we'll be able to outrace him because we've got black market connections to think of as well. So take 2 here, because if we sacrifice the lifelink token, that'll gain us a life back. We effectively lose 1. Secure the Wastes is similar to Grand Crescendo, so that's good. Let's go. Don't think I want to put the life into a token then. Let's just create a treasure token, I think. Minimise the amount of life that we're losing. And then it can be Idol of Oblivion. See if we can maybe make a land so that we can trigger the Field of the Dead. That's Cabal Coffers. How many swamps do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 I think. So 9 into X on Secure the Wastes. Let's swing him. We go back up to 8, our opponent goes down to 4. Let's see if he's got some kind of board wipe or something. We might wish that we got our commander in play. He does have another board wipe, Toxic Deluge. Yeah, so we can get him again with the Secure the Wastes anyway. Grand Crescendo, ever since it was printed I haven't been too happy with it. Indestructible isn't quite as good anymore thanks to all the bounce and exile and minusing down with stuff like the Toxic Deluge. The Cataract we'll have to be careful drawing cards into. Lightning Greaves on there is fine. And they're down to 2 life. Knocks us down to 7, and then we'll draw a card into that as well. So Cabal Coffers taps for 5 mana. I'll keep hold of the treasure just in case because we're going wide regardless. So X is currently 8 on Secure the Wastes. And I'll just get down my commander before I turn in sideways next turn. I don't think it will make any difference. We can at least sacrifice something into Mogis here. I've seen these tokens before. Okay, and then I've just been kicked out into the lobby, so I'm guessing my opponent scooped there and then the game just ended immediately. So I wasn't looking too hopeful there with those Planeswalkers in play, but thanks to some help from the Blasphemous Act, our Zurgo managed to ping him out of the way. Our regression in the early game, getting the opponent's life totals down reasonably low in comparison to ours, ended up paying off in the end. It's a fun commander this one, but you do need the pieces to kind of fall into place as best you can. It might be worth having like a Living Death or something like that in the list that you could use as a board wipe and a means of reanimation on all your stuff, because you can't expect that you're going to keep all your things in play. Your opponents are obviously going to want to wipe the board of your creatures. But regardless, it obviously panned out well for us, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, then be sure to consider donating on Patreon like a few of you do already. Thank you to those of you who do support me over there. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.